Welcome to Martial Mentality, a martial arts inspired podcast. Today I have with me Miss Bobby Elliott. She is back. And under some sad circumstances, we are here to tribute one of the legends of martial arts, the man himself, Chuck Norris. And so today we're going to tribute Chuck, and we are also going to give you some facts about Chuck Norris that I'm sure a lot of people don't know. And may he rest in peace, and may he also, we want to give condolences to his family. So, Bobby, let's just go ahead and get started and talk about Mr. Chuck Norris.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Oh, yeah. Yes. The man that memes are made out of, unfortunately.
The best memes.
So, one thing about Chuck that's pretty interesting, guys, is that did you know that his name was actually Carlos Ray Norris?
Yeah. Actually, I didn't know that until he passed away. And I saw a video, which was really cool, that one of the guys in his Air Force unit gave him that nickname.
I didn't know he was in the military.
Yeah.
So he served in the Air Force. And you're right. He was actually a military policeman. He was an air policeman. So he was in the Air Force from like 1958 to like 1962. And actually, while he was in Korea, he earned his black belt in Tang Sudo, I believe. Was it Tang Sudo there, or was it Taekwondo? I think it was Tang Sudo. I think he got his black belt in Tang Sudo while he was in Korea. But he also got his black belt in Taekwondo as well. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the cool thing about Chuck is what makes him so famous is not only did he have a famous fight scene with Bruce Lee, which we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I mean, he was a true martial artist. He lived martial arts.
Yeah, because before he ever even got into acting, he was in the competition circuit, doing competitions and fighting. And then that transferred slowly over into acting, which, you know, you don't really see a lot of that. Usually you just think, oh, this actor learned to do this part for this role.
No, he was actually a legit fighter.
Yeah.
So let's kind of go back through some of his accomplishments martial arts wise. So he holds a 8th degree black belt in Taekwondo, and he's a 10th degree black belt in Tang Sudo. And Bobby told me this. I did not know this, but he is the first Westerner to ever receive that 8th degree black belt status in Taekwondo. And he's one of 3 Westerners to ever do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Currently, yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Not to mention his 3rd degree in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes.
And black belt in Judo as well.
Yes. I mean, so then he also created his own system of martial art. Chunkudo. Chunkudo.
Yeah, you're right. Kukdo.
It means like the universal way, which obviously he's a 10th degree in that because that's his system.
Yeah.
And he was also a 6-time world karate champion.
Yeah, and retired undefeated, which how many people can say that?
So I looked this up, and it said that he had a record of 183, 10, and 2, which is, you know, that's really phenomenal.
It's absolutely impressive.
And not only that, he fought and beat, you know, some of the world karate greats at the times. Have you ever heard of Joe Louis? You ever heard that name? He beat Joe. Wow. Oh yeah, he fought Joe a couple of times.
Wow.
So what I researched was that the first time him and Joe met, like on the competition circuit, Joe beat him. Oh. But after that, Joe didn't beat him anymore, from what I read.
I'm pretty sure I thought I also read that's where he met Bruce Lee as well, as through the competition circuit.
So I don't exactly know how they met. I'm sure there's plenty of documentaries on that. Yeah. But what I do know is that he got into acting through his role with Bruce Lee on Way of the Dragon.
Yeah.
Which him and Bruce have to a lot of martial artists, one of the greatest fight scenes.
Yeah.
You know, in martial arts history.
I think that's like, I believe that was his first movie.
It was.
Bruce Lee. Yeah.
Way of the Dragon was his first movie.
Yeah.
So he brought in to be the bad guy.
Yeah. And I always think that's cool because, you know, most of the times in martial arts movies, you don't really see a lot of Westerners. And to see someone else actually do martial arts was really cool because he just come in and starts actually showing the skill that he trained.
Well, what makes that scene in Way of the Dragon so impressive is they didn't actually have a lot of time to do that. So they only had a limited amount of time. I'm not sure, but it wasn't enough time to be like, hey, we can take multiple takes. We got to get this done quickly. So that's another thing that make that scene so impressive. And then, of course, just the skill of both of them. I mean, they're both martial arts legends. So the fact that they share the screen together, especially now after, both of their lives have completed, it's just, you don't see that anymore.
I love the stories they talk about how, them training together and teaching each other things, like the things Bruce was good at, teaching Chuck Norris those things, and Chuck Norris what he was good at teaching Bruce Lee, because Bruce Lee was very quick. And he, I think I read a little article that said Chuck was the one that taught him about kicking in the head and kicking high kicks, because Bruce only kicked below the belt because it was more quick and efficient.
Well, the reason Bruce did that is because he practiced Wing Chun.
Yeah.
And Wing Chun, they're not known for their kicking.
Yeah.
But if you look at Bruce Lee movies, what's the one thing that he always did?
I kicked.
He kicked. Yeah, that was the thing that everybody kind of knows him from. Not really the Wing Chun.
Yeah.
So at least that's what I think of when I think about Bruce.
Yeah. That, and, I feel like those two had similar but different skill sets, but the way they played off each other made it more like a dance, and I love reading about how they would just train night and day, just train and spar and spar and spar. And I'm pretty sure they said that for 2 years they were training partners. And I think that's awesome. I think it's rare that you can find somebody you like training with so much that you just meet and.
Well, I think it's kind of cool at the fact that, like I said, again, you got two martial artists who were, not only just trying to increase their martial arts skill, but eventually became pioneers in the martial arts industry.
Yeah, because at the time they were coming up in the 60s and 70s, that was when martial arts movies and people learning about martial arts started to kind of come over to the U.S. and us learn about that culture. And then to see a veritable cowboy almost up there, like hanging in there with Bruce Lee was unbelievable. It's like, where did this guy come from?
Exactly. And so, I mean, that's how he basically became an action movie star. And, Chuck Norris was huge in the 80s.
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Like, he had his own cartoon. I never watched it.
Really?
Yeah, it was called, what was it called? Was it like, hold on, let me look it up real quick. I think it was like Chuck Norris Karate Commandos or whatever.
Oh my God,
I think that's what it was called. Hold on, give me 1 second. I can look it up. Yeah, okay. It was called, Chuck Norris Karate Commandos. Yeah, it had one season in 1986.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is awesome.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, how many people get their own cartoon?
Yeah, that is pretty cool. And I feel like, too, I think he kind of embodied that, like, American hero type thing.
I would agree.
Because he definitely, he put in the work. He trained. He, deserved to be there where he was the competitions, but he had his military service. And then pretty much most of his career, if he wasn't doing martial arts, where he had the Walker Texas Ranger, he was still that good guy, that American hero, that save the day kind of guy. And, I think like nowadays you don't really see like those like old school American heroes,
I would say for our generation, what Chuck Norris embodies is you don't really hear any negativity about Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
Now that he's passed on, you hear some people who try to kind of trash him because of some of his political views.
Yeah.
But I mean everybody's political views and things, you're not always going to agree.
Yeah.
But
and I feel like regardless of what his political views were, the way he grew up in Texas, and you're going to have more conservative values. You're going to have more, family oriented values. And there's nothing wrong with that because he never pushed that on anybody else. He was a good guy. He started a charity teaching inner city kids martial arts. And I think that's where a lot of people lack in society nowadays, is because they think two things can't be true at once. Like
Right.
they think, oh, well, if you don't like us, or if you like a certain thing, that means you're a really bad person. Everybody's allowed to have their opinion. And Chuck Norris was one of those people that stood 10 toes down on what he believed in and his morals. He had morals and integrity. And whether you agree with it or not, you have to respect somebody that says, this is what I believe and that's what I'm going to stand by.
Right. And I respect, listen, I would say Chuck Norris to me is one of the martial arts icons that I can say, like, I don't really care about his political views. I care about the man that he was.
Same.
And I could see that he was a good man. I mean, nobody's perfect, but as far as like as a martial artist myself, if I say, oh, who would I want to be like? I mean, who wouldn't want to be like Chuck Norris?
Yeah. And I think as a person in general, I look up to those people, regardless of whether I agree with their standpoints politically or religiously or whatever. I look up more to people who show great character and morals and integrity, and they stand by that. And I don't feel like he was ever a man that wavered or faltered in those beliefs. Like to me, he really embodied that American hero, that cowboy, that martial mentality.
Yeah, he had
learn.
it. You could see it. You could see
Absolutely.
it. And another thing about him that I don't know, maybe because I'm older now, but the beard, man. Seriously, he had one of the beard made him. Like when he didn't have the beard, you're like,
that's why women loved him. He had that rough, gruff, like, I could save you and we're going to ride off into the sunset together, I love that. Well, so my dad, growing up, he was big into Westerns. And, like, he was kind of like a perfect mix between Bruce Lee and, what was his name? Clint Eastwood, He had that, like, rough, gruff cowboy, but he could still kick you in the head in a tight-ass pair of jeans.
And I always thought that was like a cool thing about him because he was just very cool.
Yeah, he was very calm. He never got angry or like aggressive.
Right. Even in his roles, like he never was like, grrr,
I was gonna say, even in Way of the Dragon, he still had that cool, calm, chill, like, I don't have to try to peacock and be scary and be anything that I'm not. He's going to let his talent speak for itself.
Yeah.
And I think that was one thing that I always admired about him as well, is just that ability to maintain your composure in a stressful situation. Be able to have that mentality of, I don't need to yell. I don't need to fight. I don't need to threaten. We're just man to man. Let's let our skills show. That's probably why Bruce Lee liked him a lot too.
Well, fun fact, while we, I guess, don't necessarily have a connection to Chuck like that, we know somebody who had a close connection to Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
Do you know who that was?
Master Lewis.
That's right. Yeah. Master Wayne Lewis. For those of you who don't know, may he rest in peace as well. Master Wayne Lewis was once a bodyguard of Chuck Norris.
Really? How old was Master Lewis when he passed away?
I think he was in his 70s.
Oh, well, so he was younger than Chuck Norris. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
but
wild.
I remember him telling this story that he said that he was at a tournament, and I guess Chuck Norris was at the tournament too, and he was sparring with Chuck Norris's bodyguard. I guess, I don't know if it was a former bodyguard, current bodyguard or whatever, but he beat the guy. And Chuck was like, I want you to be my bodyguard. That's what I remember Master Lewis telling me.
Heck yeah. I feel like that has to be one of the most amazing compliments, because if Chuck Norris is as good as Chuck Norris is, and to be like, I want you watching my back, like, how could you say no to that?
Right. And, I think that was one of the coolest things when I met Master Lewis, because he would always, he never bragged about it. So that was another thing that was cool about it. And so, like, he told me, and I was like, what? And so then he showed me pictures, and I was like, oh my gosh,
Mm.
you really were his bodyguard. He was like, yeah, me and Chuck, cool, da 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 da. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. So for me, like, I guess he just holds a higher level to me because a man that I respected so much and Master Lewis respected him,
Yeah.
I respect him even more.
Yeah. I think that's what I think people lack nowadays is because they want to find one thing they just don't like about you and immediately be like, well, cancel him, throw him in the trash. But when you take the measure of a man and you look at everything that man did through his life and what he did for not just martial arts, but many different types of martial arts, as well as the movies, At that time, when he started doing movies, Kung Fu was relatively new to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to see, someone up there that is not specifically Asian being able to do those things and represent that, this was before Karate Kid. This was when, kids would be like, oh my God, I could do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Let me try that.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's inspired a lot of people before you had your Ralph Macchios. Like I would say, like what Karate Kid was early 80s and Way of the Dragon
84.
was, yeah. So, and then Way of Dragon was late 60s, early 70s.
Somewhere like that.
Yeah. And I feel like I won't say he was the first because I don't 100% know that, but he was kind of like one of the first that kind of kicked that era off because after that it was Ralph Macchio, Jean-Claude Van Damme,
Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, it was a lot of them.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah.
Like he was one of those, when you think about 80s, early 90s action stars.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Chuck Norris is like top of the line.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I guess for our generation, I can say this as a guy because I'm sure some of the other guys are gonna feel like this. He was like I would look at him and be like, yeah, that's a man.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be like that man. Like, I want to be like that guy.
Yeah, because when he came out, it was at a time that Westerners Western movies were kind of going away. Kung Fu was kind of getting big, and he embodied like strength and like that calm demeanor and like he didn't have to, like we were saying before, he didn't have to yell or scream or get in your face or be scary. He just was such a good specimen of a man, which people lack now.
I just had this comparison in my head. You know who he is kind of like? He's like a modern day John Wayne.
Yeah.
Like John Wayne.
John Wayne.
Yeah, he's like the martial arts John Wayne, where it's kind of like real cool, calm, and collected, but you knew he was gonna kick your butt.
Yeah.
It was like that. Yeah.
Like Taekwondo John Wayne.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So let me ask you this question. Mm-hmm. What is your favorite Chuck Norris role in media?
In media?
Yeah, like any media. It can be movies, television.
I mean, first and foremost, the memes. I love Chuck Norris memes. Like the memes people make about Chuck Norris are absolutely funny, but movies, I guess it'd probably be the first thing I really ever remember him in was Sidekicks.
Oh, I love that movie. Yes. I'm so glad. Oh, yeah. Yes.
And at the time, I was like pre-teenager, probably. And the kid that was in it, Jonathan Brandis, I think that was his name, was like on all the Teen Beat magazines. Yes. And he was like the hot guy at the time for my age at the time. And like, it was kind of like, I don't want to say, well, no, because I think it came out after Karate Kid, actually.
It did.
It was the 90s,
it did.
Yeah.
It was like early 90s.
Yeah. And that was like, just like so cool. That was, you didn't really have too many martial arts movies at the time that involved kids. And seeing him, up there was just so cool. Like, I don't know why it just always makes me think of my uncle, because my uncle did karate and I always looked up to him and always thought that was so cool because my dad wouldn't let me do karate. And to me, to watch that is just like, this is amazing.
So dare I say, now some people are going to probably be like, how dare you? But I honestly think Sidekicks is a better movie than Karate Kid. Me personally. Not to say Karate Kid's not good.
I will say, watching as a kid and then watching them as adults is very different, because going back and watching Karate Kid as an adult with more martial arts knowledge that I have now, you know, and I hate to say this because I love Karate Kid. Like, that was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. It inspired a lot of me wanting to do martial arts, and no hate on it. But when you watch that now and you're like, there's no way Daniel should have been that good to win that competition.
I agree with you.
Right. And I just feel like Sidekick showed way more actual skill.
That's why I like the movie.
Yeah.
That's why I like the movie. And then plus, like, I love Mr. Miyagi. I think he is a great sensei. Yes. But like, there was something cool about Jonathan Brandis getting to do a competition with Chuck Norris. I don't know why. It was cool.
Yeah. And to me, I feel like, and granted, again, this is only because I have more martial arts knowledge now. Like, you know, when you know about something and then you watch it, you kind of nerd out on that. And when you can be like, oh, I know what that is, and I know what that is, there was just so much more skill and martial arts on display where it's like, this kid really learned this and he's really good. And it makes me wonder how, like, if, you know, how they talk about Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris practicing together and training together on Way of the Dragon. It makes me wonder if that's like that father-son relationship he built with Jonathan Brandis while they were training, you know? And like, for a lot of people who maybe not had a close relationship with their dad or even had a dad, that's like, you know, that's one of those things you just watch and you're just like, oh, that's amazing. I wish I had somebody like that, which I do now. I have somebody that teaches me, and it's nice that, like, you see that on screen, you see that relationship, but you also see the martial arts and the skill and the mentality that goes with that through film like that.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that movie, because like, when I say Sidekicks, a lot of people go, what movie is that? But like, that movie was, I can watch that movie all the time. Like, I love that movie.
Oh yeah. Well, and I feel like a lot of people, if you think about people who grew up in the 80s and 90s and you say, oh, what's your favorite martial arts movie? Their first thing is probably going to be Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Or like, was it Surf Ninjas?
Oh, I love Surf Ninjas.
Also very good.
Kwanzaa dudes.
Yeah. And I feel like Sidekicks is just kind of underrated.
It is.
I don't think anybody really puts it in there, but it's a great martial arts movie that shows great skill. And to me, especially now that I know more about martial arts, I love when I can watch a movie and be like, okay, they really trained that, or they know what they're doing there, and it's not for show.
Right. Right.
I know what was that Marvel movie, Shang-Chi? Yes. I remember when I watched that and I could pick out certain kung fu moves. I was like, oh, he just did this. And I know what that is.
Choreography in that movie is phenomenal.
Yeah. And it's just so awesome when you can actually see they're not faking it, that they're doing these things for real and they know what they're doing and they're learning. And it just makes you, I guess I feel like it makes you get more engrossed in the movie when they're not faking it.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not to say Ralph Macchio was faking it, but I still don't think he was good enough to win that competition.
I mean, and you're right. I mean, it is true. You know, I know we're talking about, you know, fake cinema, but as a martial artist, you're looking at it now through a different lens, and you kind of go, yeah, you probably shouldn't have won that, but I get it. It's a movie.
And I think that is a really great, you know, comparison to Chuck Norris, because he wasn't fake. Who you saw on that screen, who you saw as, you know, the hero, the man that stood up for right when things were wrong, the man who, you know, stood up for the under guy. And that's who he was in real life.
Right.
You know, he embodied that good integrity, good character, good morals. And like, he just really was a good person on and off the screen. And another thing I think is really cool is the fact that he trained up until his passing, unfortunately. Like, I saw a thing where it said, I think it was a couple weeks before he went on like a so many mile hike up a mountain.
Oh yeah, he climbed up a mountain at I was like, what?
Yes, and that's what martial arts can do for you, though. You keep your body moving, you keep your body healthy. When you're training those things, you can be 86 years old climbing up a mountain. Like, I hope to be like that one day. Heck, Master Lewis.
Yeah.
Cool. The few times that he did come in here and train with us, and he was showing us joint locks one time, he about put me on the floor, and I remember thinking, what's this little old man gonna do? He's gonna hurt himself trying to take me down. And he just like instantly. But that's one thing that martial arts gives you, is that ability to like keep your body healthy and keep your body moving.
I would always tell people, I'm like, look, you know how cool Chuck is, right? Well, that guy was his bodyguard. So if Chuck needs a bodyguard, that guy's dangerous.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Right? You know what I mean? Like,
I always wonder if like, did Chuck train them themselves? Like I know you're good, but I also want you to know these things.
I bet you. I'm sure they shared things.
Yeah, because
I'm sure
he knew so many different types of
sure.
like martial arts. Especially if the way him and Bruce Lee trained together and taught each other things. I just feel like that'd be such a cool, like, it'd be cool to like learn from somebody like that. Because
I agree.
most people know him from Walker, Texas Ranger, or movies. And a lot of times, movies nowadays, like, no hate on Keanu Reeves, but he didn't come from a martial arts background. He learned a lot of martial arts through doing movies, whereas Chuck Norris started with martial arts.
Right. He was a martial artist before acting.
Yeah. And he carried that skill over. And it just gives so much more of an authenticity to it.
Oh, I agree. That's why I guess when you watch his movies or when you watch his shows, you go, oh no, he can really do that.
Yeah.
Like that's not fake. Like he's doing that, know?
Man. And any man that can wear skinny jeans and roundhouse kick someone in the head is impressive.
Oh yeah.
It's impressive.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. And another thing too that I remember about Chuck, you would always see, kind of when his movie career started to kind of taper off, he started doing those infomercials. He would do like the fitness infomercials and things like that. And he was still on TV a lot. And then Walker came around. He did Walker. And he had a long run with Walker. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I think the last movie I remember him being in was The Expendables 2.
Oh, I never saw that.
Yeah. I don't know if you've never watched The Expendables. Basically, it's basically a movie that where they take all these like old 80s, 90s action stars and like they kind of put them together. They're not their actual characters, but like we know as the audience, like, oh, there's Dolph Lundgren and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. Yeah, okay. He's in that. Yeah.
I think I remember the first one, but I don't.
Jason Statham. I think he's in there.
Old.
He's not old, but I think he's in those movies.
I think so too. I feel like I saw the first one. I don't think I ever saw the second one.
Yeah, there's like I think there's like 4 of them now. I think there's like 4 Expendables, but I think Chuck was in like 2.
Yeah.
So
I think it would have been nice to see him more in, like, he was an amazing hero, but more in a villain role, because even with Way of the Dragon, he never really had that villain-esque thing that you think about where villains are just evil and mean. He just, I don't know, he just always just seemed too nice, too chill.
I actually think, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I think he just preferred hero roles. I think he never wanted to be seen as like a bad guy.
I wonder if that was something that came from his martial arts training.
Could be.
Yeah. Because, when we train martial arts, most people think it's all physicality, but it does something to you mentally, and I feel like there's such a really good brotherhood when you like come up through martial arts and you meet other martial artists and you do competitions. Because, like the last competition we did with Fall Classic, it was awesome because there were 2 ladies, one that has sparred in Swajau, and then another girl, Marissa, who I remember from Quoshu. And even though they are your competitors, even though you're in there fighting them or wrestling them or whatever, once you step out of the ring, you're cheering for each other, and you're, wanting them to like win and do good at whatever they're doing, and you just learn. I guess you just learn like there's such a great brotherhood, and it makes it hard to be a shitty person when you have that mentality of, I'll say maybe togetherness or respect for each other, and that you could really hurt someone with the skills, but you look out for each other.
So I know this is not about Chuck, but it's just kind of going based on what you're saying. When I would meet the actors of the original Power Rangers, a lot of those guys had martial arts backgrounds.
Yeah.
And when I would go to these cons and I would meet them, when they found out I did martial arts, you could tell their air change.
Yeah.
They would talk to me differently. Even Sean Schimmel, the voice of Goku,
really?
He's a martial artist.
Wow.
He does martial
that.
arts, yes. Because I told him I did martial
cool.
arts. He's like, yeah, well, I'm trying to do. He was doing Shotokan for a while. And then now I remember when he was talking to me, he was trying to decide if he wanted to do like Muay Thai.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is really cool that the voice of Goku
yeah.
is doing martial arts.
Yes.
You know? So I'm meeting all these guys of like all these people that I admire or who voiced them or who played them on TV.
Yeah.
And they're legit martial artists. And when they find out I do martial arts, it's like
Instant.
we can have a conversation.
Yeah.
Even Jason David Frank. I did a video chat with him before he passed. And when he found out that I had a martial arts school, we probably talked for like an hour and a half.
Wow.
It was great.
Didn't he, and I could be wrong about this, didn't he like do a couple of MMA fights or something?
Yeah, he definitely did. I know he did one where, I mean, he beat his opponent like 21 seconds.
Ooh. Oh, yeah. I think that was the one I saw. And I wasn't sure if that was like, because, you know, AI nowadays. But like, it's impressive. It is.
I mean, you know, and this goes back to Chuck. Like, I think that's what made our generation of heroes different.
Yeah, because they knew these things.
Right. Like even though we knew they were characters, Chuck Norris could still beat you up.
Yeah. And it's interesting to me the difference in, and I pick on Keanu Reeves just because he's done so many movies where he used martial arts. It's interesting to me when, you know, you learn like a fighting scene. It's basically like a fancy choreographed dance, you know? You learn that fighting scene. But unless you have the actual martial arts skill behind it, it's like when you talk about in here, when you teach us like forms and stuff, it's like, okay, well, why are you doing this? What is the intent behind this? Someone like Keanu Reeves doesn't necessarily know the intent. He's just regurgitating what the choreographers are teaching him. Whereas Chuck Norris, you know, he could come into a situation and look at that fight choreography and be like, that's not going to work. Let's do this. He could really make it look realistic.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's what lends to his authenticity.
Authenticity.
You know, like, you know, it's a movie, but then like again, in the back of your head, you go, he can really do some of this stuff. You know? Yeah, we know it's a choreography, but in the head you go, he can really do that. Like,
because I'll find myself now watching some movies and you'll see some fight choreography and you're just like, that's not accurate, you know, or that's very faked, or they were definitely using wires. It's awesome to be able to see somebody, you know, and they just don't really make movies like that anymore, where it's two guys, your hero, your villain, and it's like an uncut, just fight scene, back, forth. And I feel like movies nowadays rely too much on the flashy and the special effects, whereas, you know, when you look at those old scenes like with Way of the Dragon, they're just two guys, nothing fancy, no CGI, no, you know, whatever going off in the background, just two guys actually fight and putting the skill out there. You know? And
I think like that's what makes that fight scene so iconic, because there's no, it's not flashy.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And I mean, you got two skilled martial artists showcasing their skill on screen. And it's like, okay, well, you can't fake that.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you come from a martial arts background, you can see somebody faking it right away. You know, even in here when we learn new forms, you always see the progression of, okay, well, yeah, you know the form, but you're just regurgitating it. What is the intent behind it? And when you learn more and you come more from that background, you know the intention, and you can apply that to that choreography of that fight scene and make it realistic and make the audience really feel like, oh, these guys are brawling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, you know, for Chuck, his again, let me just read this background. Like, I'm telling you, like, this guy held an 8th degree black belt in Taekwondo. I mean, that's
impressive.
That's impressive by itself. 10th degree in Tang Sudo. And I mean, these are legit martial art. Like they are hard to get to high levels. Because you think about it, if you're going to be that high, I mean, you're not just dealing with the Americans, you're dealing with the Koreans.
Yeah. And you have to train a lot.
And you got to train a lot.
Every day.
You got to train a lot to get to high levels in these things, you know? And then you got your black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You know how hard it is to get a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? And then he was older when he did this.
Yeah. Because I want to say, in the beginning of his career, when he first started in movies, he just had the Taekwondo background. And then he didn't start to develop his own forms and stuff and learn other things after that. So you're thinking, this guy probably started learning all these things. And to be that many degrees, you've got to do this for a long time. And you have to continue it. So he's probably in his 40s, 50s, 60s, out there rolling around on the mat, fighting people. And a lot of that's probably what kept him young and healthy and in such good standing.
Could you imagine being in your jiu-jitsu class and you like, I got to roll with Chuck Norris.
Ooh, man, you know what? Look at the time. Is that my phone?
It's time to go.
Yeah. You don't roll with Chuck Norris.
Right.
He rolls you.
He rolled you. Right. Right. Exactly.
Man, that would be amazing.
Chuck Norris doesn't do push-ups. He pushes the earth down.
Yeah. I love those memes so much.
You know, I thought what was really cool is he really actually liked those.
Yeah.
You know, I thought he would have been like, but like he really got a kick out of him.
Oh yeah. I love it. Like all those videos of people talking to him and he just plays into that. And it makes you appreciate and love somebody so much more that they can like take that and just roll with it, you know. And he was never arrogant. He was always humble.
But you think about it, like even though like they're joking is funny, but like they're basically like joking on your machismo. Yeah. Like you're the man, like
fajing.
Yeah, like right, like we don't mess with Chuck.
Yeah,
you know.
I wonder if Chuck ever had an experience where like he was out somewhere and somebody was getting rowdy and they just seen him and was like, you know what? Time to go home. Time to go home.
I don't know if this is true or not, but I did see this on a video or somebody referenced it that basically, I guess he was at a bar. He was going to a bar and like he was sitting down or whatever. And I guess somebody maybe didn't recognize who he was. And they were like, hey, you know, get up out of my seat or whatever. And he just kind of like politely just kind of, you know, moved or whatever. And then the guy recognized who he was. And he was like, well, I mean, you're Chuck Norris. You could have easily just, you know, beat the crap out of me. Why didn't you do it? And he basically gave a political grant. Like, why would I do that? You know, there's no need for that, you know? So I respected that because I was like, oh, that makes sense, you know, because he didn't let his ego, you know, take him over. I mean, you're Chuck Norris. Like, most of the world knows who you are. I mean, when he died, it was like, I felt like the world stopped for a second. Yeah.
He didn't die. The world stopped.
The world stopped. Yeah. It was just kind of like, what?
Yeah. He was like one of the last action heroes, like the original action heroes, you know, that didn't learn this for a movie, that lived it.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that was what, to me, makes me hold so much more respect for him, is how humble he was, because he had so much training. He could have easily broke anybody, like probably before they even realized they were on the floor. And he, to my knowledge, he never used that aggression. He never, like he just always seemed in such control and so humble and Like he always kept that ego in check. And I feel like that is one thing that does make martial arts look bad, is when you have those people who, oh, I can fight, I'll whoop your butt, blah, blah, blah. And they let that ego take over. And he just always seemed so like if you didn't know the man was a martial artist and you met him at Walmart, you had no clue he could probably choke you out and put you under in 3 seconds, you know? He just was seemed like such a kind person. And he let his skill speak for itself.
Yes. He was, as the young people say, he was an alpha.
Yeah.
He was an alpha. Like when he walked in the room, it's like Chuck Norris. You know what I mean?
Yeah. A real man doesn't have to brag.
Right.
He knows who he is, and he stands tall in that.
Right. And it was just kind of like his presence spoke for itself. It was like, oh man, and I could see how, I can guarantee like wherever he probably went, even if you knew the memes and whatever, but you just had to give him respect, because it's like, you respect Chuck Norris.
Yeah. And even when you watch him, with other people, like I said, he had that charity where they taught inner city kids like how to do karate and like martial arts and stuff like that. When you see him teaching kids, or even there's a video going around now where there was a older, I say older, but she was probably somebody's great grandma, and he's teaching her how to break boards, and he's just so like kind of like, yeah, you got it. And it's so amazing to see him cheer people on and lift people up, in that way, because you don't really realize how much that could do for that person, or even those kids, when you take somebody who maybe has a lot going on, but, or comes from a bad family, and somebody invests their time in you, you never know what that person could grow up and be, and how they could change the world. It's that pay it forward mentality. And I feel like that is one thing he truly did, was pay it forward. And he never bragged about it. He didn't boast about it. Like he was just always so humble.
He was. And I think he's a great example for not only our generation, but future generations,
Yeah. Because you don't there's not a lot of people like that anymore. There's not a lot of men like that anymore. And there's not a lot of people like that. I think that's something that's definitely lacking in society now, is having good integrity and having good character, and, not being able to be afraid to stand up when something's right or wrong, or stand by what you believe, regardless of what people think. And it's just, I think that's also something that martial arts in general gives to people, is that mentality to be a stronger person mentally and have a better character, because with everything in here, you get what you put out of it, and you learn discipline, and you learn hard work, and you build character, you build camaraderie, you build friendships with people, and it really changes your mentality. It's not just a physical sport, it's a mental sport.
You develop a martial mentality. Yes.
You really do.
It changes you, and so, it's so funny. I know a lot of people, because, martial arts can be a sport, but I'm going to sound so cliche, but it's true. It's a way of life.
It is. It really is.
It is how you live your life. And a lot of people are martial arts inside the school, but not outside the school. And I think Chuck Norris is a great representation of in and out. He lived martial arts. That was who he was. And he was martial arts 24/7.
Yeah. And I just always loved how humble he was about it. Like, he would play into the jokes, but he didn't have the ego. He didn't have the, I'll fight you, I'll take you down, I'm Chuck Norris, who you think you're talking to? And he just seemed like somebody's like super nice dad.
He's like the cool uncle.
Yeah, Unc. Yeah.
Uncle Chuck.
Uncle Chuck. He was, though. Like, I think that's why I always admire him, because he reminded me a lot of my uncle. You know, my dad's brother did karate for years and years, had his own dojo, and I always just thought he was so cool. And my dad was so jealous that I was like, oh, my Uncle Roger is so cool. And my Uncle Roger was very similar in that way, coming up through karate. You know, he learned that mentality and that humbleness and like the discipline of it. And I guess why that's always where I always looked at him as like the family Chuck Norris, you know? And that's probably why my dad didn't want to put me in karate, because I talked about how cool his brother was all the time. But it's definitely changes you mentally and physically. And I think people don't in this nowadays, they just, I don't know. It's like they don't have that same sense of like integrity and mentality and humbleness. And I really wish the world there was a lot more of that. You know?
Well, it's missing, and we lost a legend, and he represented those things. So, what can we learn from Chuck? What can we learn from Master Norris? Well, based on the things that we've said, humbleness,
be a man of character.
Perseverance,
discipline.
We also, as they say, be about it. Like he was about it. Like he did what he said. Hey, I'm gonna do martial arts. I'm doing martial arts, and that's what he did.
Yeah, and I think that's something that it kind of goes back to people wanting to hate on him, because of his political views or whatever. People don't. I think it irritates me to see that because after he passed away, I did see a lot of people on Facebook and social media post things about, oh, well, he was this or he was that, so F him, let's cancel him. And it really bothers me, because just because he didn't follow the same political stance as you doesn't mean he was a good person.
Right.
I'm 44 years old, and I've done things in my life that I'm not proud of. I've done things that I would be so embarrassed if you knew, or my friends knew, the friends that didn't know me back when I used to drink and I was at the worst times of my life. Like, I have done things that I am not proud of and that I would be ashamed for. And I would hate for anybody to judge me on one mistake that I made in my past, or a something I even posted, or a belief that I held in the past that I maybe not believe now.
Right.
And I think that it's sad to me to see people want to take away from somebody who lives such an amazing life and really showed great character and great personality and great discipline, just because they might not believe one thing or they don't like one thing about him.
Well, I'm gonna say this, and maybe some people might cancel me, but because in the martial arts community, when you ever say anything negative about Bruce Lee, they're like cockroaches. They come out and they just
they do.
What? Huh?
They
what?
do.
You don't believe in our Lord and Savior Bruce Lee?
He's
what?
the greatest there ever
He's
was.
the greatest there ever was. He's Goku. I'm like, what? Like, bro, like, chill. But if I had to choose between, to me, I choose Chuck over Bruce. And let me tell you why I choose Chuck over Bruce, because not only did Chuck pretty much do everything that Bruce did, he did more.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
He did a lot more. No offense to Bruce, and I'm not saying he wasn't a legend in his own right. We'll have a conversation about Bruce Lee on another episode. But when you look at Chuck's resume and you look at Bruce's resume, Chuck was phenomenal.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, and not to throw Bruce Lee under the bus for a minute, but you can't take someone like Chuck Norris and say, oh, well, I don't like him just because he was conservative, or I don't like him because XYZ, even though he lived this great moral life, and then turn around and say, oh, Bruce Lee's the man. Well, Bruce Lee also was a drug addict.
Yes.
Nobody wants to look back. If Bruce Lee was alive today, he wouldn't want to be known for that. He wouldn't want to be known for being a drug addict. He would want to be known for his skill and what he brought to Kung Fu and what he brought to martial arts and what he brought to this world, and the United States, because before then, martial arts was mostly all in China and Asia, and we didn't really know about that over here in the Western world. And like, Bruce Lee wouldn't want to be known as a drug addict. Bruce Lee is still looked at as a legend and a great martial artist. So you can't condemn one but condone the other.
Exactly. And I'm not going to say one sin is greater than the other.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit over here and be like, oh, well, Chuck didn't believe my political views, so F him.
Yeah.
But then you look at the other legend. I mean, it is documented that he was a true, no offense, he was a crackhead.
Yeah.
And he was a womanizer.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, but, we're going to sweep that under the rug because it's Bruce Lee. No, we're not. No, he did those things. And, I mean, heck, when he passed away, he was at his mistress's house, I think.
And that I think that's what kind of really upsets me about seeing these people try to cancel him because they don't like his political views. Like, I mean, to take away from a man who spent his life literally disciplined, training, who not only trained with Bruce Lee for years, but taught Bruce Lee a few things.
Thank you.
And also got taught some things by Bruce Lee,
right.
Like, you can't say, oh, just because he was Christian, I don't like him, or just because he believed or was conservative, I don't like him. At the end of the day, when we go to the great beyond or wherever we go after this life, and when we go to be judged by God or whoever, wherever we go, God is not going to look down on you and say, oh, well, you were conservative or you believed in gun rights or you did this or that. He's going to look at you and say, you led a humble life. You were a man of character. You were a man of morals. You stood by yourself and you stood by, people who needed help. Nobody ever wants to be judged by their worst moment.
And we all have them, and we're all imperfect.
Absolutely. Like I said before, there are things in my life I would be so embarrassed and ashamed for people to find out. And I would hate for them to look at me and judge me by those things, because the person I am today is vastly different than the person I was, let's say, 5 years ago. I'm coming up, April 1st will be 5 years sober for me. And me today, thank you. Me today is so much different than the 6 years ago me. 6 years ago me was drunk and spiraling and losing friends and on the verge of losing my job. And like, I was just spiraling. And I don't want people to remember that about me. I want people to remember who I am now. And like, everybody is allowed to change their views or whatever, but when you look at Chuck Norris's life, he was consistent with his discipline, consistent with his morals and integrity and character, and that never faltered.
Right.
And to me, that is the true measure of a good man who has a good character, good integrity, and stands up for that.
So this is a good, book into this. How you've lived a good life when people try to find things to like
tear you down.
Oh, Absolutely. Well, he was a conservative, so I don't like him. Well, he was a Christian, so I don't like him. I don't like him. I don't, he's just not my cup of tea. Yeah. F him. Like, wait. Okay, well, can we find something? If he had something that was truly like, kind of dastardly.
Yeah.
What is it?
He hit somebody and ran off. Okay, well, that's a little bad. But that's the thing, like, they, like you said, they just, oh, well, he was conservative, so I don't like him. So screw everything amazing he ever did. Okay, well, Bruce Lee did some amazing things, but also did some shitty things.
He did a whole lot. And so, we're not trying to trash on Bruce.
Yeah, absolutely not. Absolutely
not. But
not.
Here's the thing. They're facts.
Yes. And instead of trying to cancel or hate on somebody who spent his life trying to better the lives of others, why can't he be celebrated for who he was, his accomplishments, what he brought to the sport of martial arts? Because he literally came up with his own system, which, nobody would know or nowadays, had he not done that, because he literally invented it. Just like Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee came up with his own system, and he's praised for that, and so should Chuck.
Yep.
Like, instead of hating on somebody just because you don't like one thing about them, how about we celebrate the amazing life that he lived and his amazing legacy that he's living behind?
Well, you know what, Chuck? I don't know where you are. I'm sure you're probably sparring with Bruce right now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And all the other great martial artists ever to live, but, I just want to say, we respect you. Job well done. You lived an awesome life. And now take your rest. And I'm praying for your family, praying for your friends, your fans. Just know that your legacy is not forgotten. You have impacted a generation of people. And I pray one day that you will hear legends about Chuck the way you hear legends about Bruce
Lee. Yeah. And I think that's what I find funny is because, I'm picking on Bruce Lee a little bit, but he was a bragger. He liked to brag.
Whereas, it was braggadocious.
Yes, whereas Chuck Norris was a little bit more humble. That's not taken away from Bruce Lee at all. He had a lot of skill. He taught Chuck about being fast. Whereas, they're just two different martial artists. Both can be great,
Yeah, that's true.
But we are all human and we can all make mistakes. So let's celebrate the amazing things that this man did and not try to tear down just because you didn't like one thing or two things.
Well, again, Mr. Norris, Master Norris.
Oh, yeah.
May you rest in peace.
Would he be a grandmaster?
Yeah,
technically?
easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, easily grandmaster.
Oh, yeah, because if he taught people and they taught people.
Yes, easily, and just by his pure rank.
Yeah. Oh,
grandmaster,
God, yeah.
So, I mean, he's, again, he's probably as top as you can go.
Yeah.
He's at the apex. But, I just want to say again, thanks for talking Chuck with me. I guess, you know what we need to do?
Roundhouse kick each other in jeans?
No, we do that all the time.
It's true.
What we need to do is we need to do a movie review of Sidekicks.
Yeah.
We should watch it and then do a movie review.
We should. That would be fun.
That'd be fun.
Throwing some Chuck Norris memes at the end.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh man, a little commentary in there.
Oh, that'd be fun. Like Mystery Science Theater.
Yes.
We'll do it like that.
Oh my
that'd
God,
be fun.
That'd be so much
That'd be
fun.
fun.
It would. We should do that more often.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
And listen, if you've never watched Sidekicks, watch it. You can probably find it on YouTube for free.
Or Amazon.
It's a great movie. It's a great movie for kids too. So like children can watch it.
Yeah, it is. It's a good movie. It's family friendly.
Yes,
that's
it's very family friendly.
Family friendly, and it has a lot of good lessons in there about not just martial arts and skill, but just how to be a better person, how to live your life. People don't think about that stuff, but it is a highly underrated movie.
So again, we want to tribute Chuck. Like, share, subscribe in the Martial Mentality. And again, thank you, Bobby, for being on the show.
Yeah.
We missed you. Welcome
I'll be
back.
more.
This is Martial Mentality signing out. Peace.